Today we're going to break down the movie Casino because there's some great examples of simpy behavior and their negative consequences and effects. But before I get into that, know that my audiobook Radical Self-Respect is available on Audible now. It's been a long time coming, but it finally is. And so if you've struggled with codependency, struggled with simping, struggled with people-pleasing mindset, boundaries, being assertive, or maybe just getting out of a relationship or have been broken up with, this book will be great for you. So give it a listen. Now, on to today's video, the movie Casino. A great cautionary tale as to why men shouldn't simp. And even when a man has every other area of his life taken care of, he can still be bad with women and still make poor choices with women. And all it takes is a little simpery to almost take down a whole man. And again, this is a very cautionary tale, but here's the thing. You shouldn't feel too much pity for Ace Rothstein's character in this movie, played by Robert De Niro. And he falls in love with a woman named Ginger, played by Sharon Stone. And Ginger's love interest, besides Robert De Niro's character, is Lester, played by James Woods. And the dynamic breaks down pretty clearly. But the first thing Ace Rothstein sees of Ginger is her stealing money from a whale at the casino. And then when he calls her out on it, she throws all the chips around the table and just otherwise causes chaos. And here's the thing. The red flags we ignore in the beginning will be the reason why the relationship ends later. And as Robert De Niro's character is narrating, he goes, I fell in love with Ginger right there. And so they kind of go out and date for a little bit. And then eventually, Ace Rothstein, he asks Ginger to marry him. And here's the thing. She says, no, I'm not into you like that. I don't have those kinds of feelings for you. Now, freeze. Any man who practices radical self-respect, and a woman tells him that, would take it no further and walk away. Because when we practice radical self-respect, we're not going to settle for someone who doesn't feel that way about us. And again, why was Ace Rothstein doing this? Because he was blinded by his own feelings. He was blinded by his own lust. And he didn't realize it wasn't being reciprocated. And then another problem is he tries to negotiate the desire and goes, well, just give it a shot here because over time that love can grow. Over time we can build that trust and trust can lead to love. And it's like, you can't negotiate desire. He's trying to talk to her as if she's another man and trying to be rational with her. Like, oh, if I'm this rational, she'll reasonably fall in love with me later. But it's like, no. Either women are into you or they're not. It's like they're attracted to you and super into you or they're not. And the only reason why Ginger actually ended up agreeing to this is because of all the status and prestige that Robert De Niro's character had. He was in charge. And so she thought, okay, well, at the very least, I'll be taken care of. Because that's the other thing that Ace Rothstein said. He goes, oh, no matter what happens, you'll be taken care of. And he continues to make more and more blunders throughout the movie. He thinks the more he shows that he trusts her, the more she will love him. And again, it's transactional, and you can't negotiate desire. You just can't. And here's the other kicker with Ginger. Ginger has gone out with this pimp named Lester, played by James Woods. And he's the man that she really cares about. And he doesn't really ever go away in the whole movie. And she's kind of like an alpha widow of his. But even on the wedding night, when Ace Rothstein and Ginger get married, she runs off to talk to Lester, her old boyfriend, and is crying over the phone with her. And he's telling her all these sweet nothings that he probably doesn't even mean. But he sees it as a cash cow. Oh, look. Ginger's marrying the owner of the casino. I can exploit so much more stuff out of her now. And that's pretty much exactly what he does. But again, attraction isn't a choice, and she's still attracted to Lester. Ginger's character is still attracted to Lester, even though rationally she shouldn't, even though reasonably she shouldn't, but feelings don't care. Attraction doesn't care. Arousal doesn't care. And Ace Rothstein even narrates, the Ginger I know would never fall in love with that guy Lester. And it's like, you're expecting her to be rational again. You're expecting her to be reasonable. But that's not how it goes. Attraction isn't a choice. People are into people or they're not. And so, again, this all could have been prevented by Ace Rothstein by just walking away when she said at first, I don't feel the same way about you. But no, he blunders through. And so there's some more bad things that happen, of course. Lester convinces Ginger to give him $25,000 of Ace Rothstein's money. And Ginger goes to Ace and is like, oh, I want $25,000. And he's like, for what? And she refuses to tell him. And then eventually she gives some nonsense answer. And she eventually finds out a way to get him the money. She goes and steals it, I think, because Ace Rothstein has given Ginger the key to the safe. Again, showing more trust, thinking that that should matter. But no, it doesn't. And so Ace Rothstein has his buddy Nicky, played by Joe Pesci, follow her to the bank where he sees that Ginger takes the money and then gives it to Lester. And then Ace Rothstein meets them at a diner and makes James Woods' character, Lester, give the money back. And then Ace Rothstein's goons beat up Lester. And Ginger, Sharon Stone's character, goes crazy ballistic because she sees her love getting beaten up. And she turns into a mess after that. She gets really big into booze. Ace Rothstein tries to, again, rationally say, you need help, you're better than this, and tries to save her, rescue her, get her into rehab. And if there's something that happens with addictions, it's you can't help anyone that doesn't want to help themselves. And he's trying to do, like, it's his wife at this point. And here's the other thing, he even has a kid with her before they get married, because again, he thinks that will seal their trust. He thinks that will be like a certain level of control that he'll have over her. And to a point, he's correct. But again, these are all just his manipulations and attempts at controlling her feelings. And you can't do that. It just doesn't work. Even if you're rich, like Ace Rothstein, even if your status, it's like, that may help. A woman who's hypergamous may be more into you, but genuine desire, it's either there or it's not. It can't be negotiated. And so, moving forward, Lester gets beat up, and then Ace Rothstein's trying to get Ginger into rehab. Eventually she goes, but she never really sticks with anything. She still does drugs, she still hangs out with Lester, and again, at the very end, Ginger tries to take all of the jewelry that Ace Rothstein has promised her, about $1 million worth of jewelry. And she basically goes. And then she goes off and acts all crazy and crashes her car into his car. And it's just like a whole mess. And all that doesn't even matter at this point because, again, Ace Rothstein saw the future the very first day he laid eyes on her. The red flags you ignore will be the reason why the relationship ends later. And so he saw her steal from other wealthier men. He saw her cause chaos. And guess what? That was a premonition of exactly what would happen later. So men, we can't allow ourselves to ignore those red flags. And if someone tells us they don't have those feelings for us, if someone tells us, I don't feel that way, I'm not in love with you like that, believe them. Believe them. We can't negotiate that desire. We can't make people feel a certain way about us. Like, sometimes women, especially if we're wealthy or have some status, they might go along with some things, but they might not truly feel what they don't feel that attraction and that lust. They're just not going to feel it. And again, Ginger did feel that way towards her ex, the pimp Lester. And rationally, it shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be so that a pimp who had nothing was making Ginger feel that way. But again, love isn't irrational. Attraction isn't irrational. Attraction isn't a choice. And so, men, don't negotiate desire. It's not going to work. Have the person, if we're going to be with somebody, and I can say, and this is a video for another day, this next part, but I can see why a lot of men want to go monk mode anymore, because they feel they can't practice radical self-respect and still date women and get with women. And for some people, I can absolutely see that being an issue. And so we got to know what's going on with this kind of stuff. You know, you got to know where women's heads are at. And we can't be forcing things to happen. Like, it's either they're the hell yeah girl about us, or they're not. Because if it's not a hell yeah, it's a fuck no. And it really is that simple, especially when it comes to sexual relationships. If it's not a hell yeah, it's a fuck no. And when Ace Rothstein was proposing to marry Ginger in the very beginning, she certainly was not hell yeah about him. She was way on the fence. She flat out told him no. But he still tried to blunder through it anyway. And again, I see a dividing line between men. The men that get women and the men that don't. And the men that do not get women in this day and age are really putting themselves in danger. They're putting their assets at danger, their money at danger, their house at danger, and maybe even like their life. Certainly their quality of life can go down, because all a divorce takes anymore is one partner's vote. As a guy, you could want to make something work all you want, but if your woman wants out, that's it. And prenuptial agreements, they hardly even matter anymore either. Like, they're not even worth the paper they're printed on. And so, it only takes one person's vote. I can't justify getting married ever with that kind of system, especially if you're a guy that has something to lose. You can't do it. You just can't. I mean, and Ace Rothstein knew it. He goes, for someone who's such a straight shooter like me, I'm sure taking a chance on a long shot, a moonshot like Ginger. And he knew it. He knew it, but he didn't listen to that voice in his head. He's like, I just know I'm really into her. I know I'm really head over heels for her, and I want to possess her. And for his sins, he got what he thought he wanted, but not in the way that he thought he was going to get it. And so there's a lot of lessons in the movie Casino. I highly recommend you check it out. And you see it. You see it firsthand. This is what happens when you simp. This is what happens when you ignore red flags. This is what happens when you settle for the girl who's not hell yeah about you. You should have been a fuck no. Instead, you see what happens. And so it's a cautionary tale. And especially for men that you can have every other area of your life going well. But if you don't get women, your whole house of cards can come crashing down. So this is episode 2 of Simp Rehab. Please let me know what you thought about this video. Do you have any other comments about the movie and what happened in it? Any other revelations or lessons that I think or you think I should be pulling from it? Please let me know. So with that, thank you for watching and have a good one.